Good morning. This is Bill from Auto Europa Naples on a muggy, unseason-like Florida Tuesday. The hot weather is back. It's going to hit the mid-80s today. It's humid. The car is misty. It's pretty friggin' unacceptable, but we're going to keep going. This is now like the fourth attempt I've made at this video because obviously there's a unpleasant pattern at the Naples airport, which is just over that way, and all these miserable little droning airplanes have been flying overhead and drowning out the sound. So it's become quite offensive. And this is now the fourth time I've tried to do this. We did have a bird in the wire earlier. I threatened him. I said, the hell with it. I mean, no more, no more sitting here troubled by him. It's going to be fisticuffs. If he comes down here, there's going to be feathers flying, skin and hair and bone. We're going to get into it. Bring his friend. I don't care. Bring them all. We're just going to go out in a blaze of what have you. Anyway. I have today probably the nicest example of a R107 Roadster that I have seen in 15 years. And this is a pretty grand statement because this is a car that we specialize in. We've sought out, whatever the verb is, we've looked for a bunch of these things, gotten the nicest ones we could find, and always tried to have them for sale. So we've had quite a few over the last couple of decades. And this one is head and shoulders above the rest. I bought it at a collector car auction, one I really didn't want to attend, but a friend of mine talked me into it because there was some Camaro he wanted. I see this thing sitting here and I was blown away. I thought, my God, to find one like this in this place was very, very unexpected. 1984 380 SL Roadster, 38,000 miles on it in what is arguably the best color combination. Another airplane. Anyway, bright red with black inside, just a fantastic color combination. And in many ways, the 380 SL is one of my favorites. Now, I know the 560 garners more collectability. People seek out the 560 SLs because it was the last of the Mohicans. I mean, this car, designed by Friedrich Geiger, ran from 1972 all the way through 1989. So it was a very long-lived car. And the 560 SL was the last of them. But in many ways, the 380 SL epitomizes to me the last of the vintage R107s. And I'll get into why I think that in a minute. You have to remember, this is a car that was designed in the 1960s. This is not, even at this time in '84, a fresh design. This thing went way, way back. It was one of the most long-lived designs in Mercedes history. Again, put together by a guy, Friedrich Geiger. He had already designed the 540K, very, very famous Mercedes, the 300 SL Gullwing, another car he designed, absolutely iconic, had a hand in the Pagoda, and then designed this R107. And the R107 epitomized the finality of the transformation of the SL Roadster from this lightweight, fast Le Mans special type thing into a sports car, into a sort of Grand Tourer, and finally into a very proper Grand Tourer. It was heavy, not particularly fast, but incredibly well built. This is an era of Mercedes that will never ever come again, and never could. This is all West German built by guys who made a lot of money, who had great jobs, who were very happy, who were trying to pursue the absolute finest in automotive production, engineering, development that they could. And the R107 in many ways was the pinnacle of that. And the 380 SL, the precursor to the another goddamn airplane. Anyway, it was the precursor to the 560 SL. It retained many of the features that came out on the original car, and none of those facelifted updates that tried to bring this R107 into the modern era. And we'll get into that in a minute. Anyway, this one is finished again in bright red outside, an absolutely gorgeous color, signature color for this car. Really, I think the finest combination. Black inside, which is rare. Usually they're tan when they're red. It's nice to see black. That was more of a European thing. And it has a very extensive but judicious use of chrome. I like the bumpers. I'm going to get tons of flack for that because everybody hates these bumpers, the American bumpers made for our, bumper laws at the time. The European bumpers were these sort of muted chrome things. They also had European lights that didn't have the four rounds, the sealed beams. But this is what I grew up with. So this is the car that I knew. It's not, the Euro cars were in Europe. This American model was here. And when this car pulled up, it made an impact on me. And it's the way that I remember it and the way I grew up with it. So I'm just fine with the bumpers and the headlights the way they are. I like the big rectangular fogs below the bumper. I love the bunt-cake wheels. That's what they call them for obvious reasons. You can see they're in fantastic shape on this car. Very, very attractive. And you could have had those wheels on a 1969 Mercedes, which again is part of why I like this 380 SL. Also in the 560s, they sunk the door handles for safety reasons into the metal, so they're flush almost with the side of the car. In the 380, they have these beautiful big vintage looking chrome things that I quite like, and I prefer them in many ways to the door handles on the 560. Ditto the wheels, the 14-inch bunts versus those 15-inch Aero wheels. The beautiful use of chrome around the car. You've got it on the bumper. You've got these little muted trailing lines around the headlights. You've got this lovely elongated Mercedes grille with the star in the middle. Absolutely beautiful. Love the chrome side view mirrors. Love the chrome around the windshield. Because this is such an unmolested low mileage car, you can see we didn't bother changing the wiper blades. We'll have to do that. Nice. Get on our mechanic about this one. But anyway, they preserved the stainless blades. So many times people would go into, Advanced Auto Parts and buy some crappy replacement blades, put them in, so you've got the lovely stainless or aluminum wiper arms, and then these crappy looking black things that would go on them. The correct way to do it is to buy the inserts for these aluminum wiper arms, and it looks beautiful, and it's the way it should be. So it was very nice to see that. The chunkiness of the design, the beautiful, again, use of chrome. This is the original hardtop with the car. You can see it adds tons more chrome to the car and looks stunning when it's on top. Absolutely stunning. And that is a very neat system. A lot of guys sort of hung these from their garages so they could back in, move them down one-handed and get them on. Otherwise, it's a pain in the ass to put on with two people. The engineering in this car is phenomenal. You can see the trunk line on this, the way it sort of has this gentle Teutonic curve in the middle. One could say that harkens to the pagoda name that its predecessor has, which resembles Japanese architecture. The ridge taillights designed to be able to see even when they're dirty and to be kind of self-cleaning. Brilliant, subtle engineering there. You can see the incredible clarity of the reverse lenses. If these things have been kept outside and brutalized, those all turn yellow and crack and get nasty. Like the push button. And again, this is what I'm talking about from this vintage Mercedes, this era. This big chrome push button, this big chunky German latch that could have been used on a Tiger tank. I mean, that is the kind of engineering that went into this car that Mercedes, of course, lost over the years as they progressed into becoming a giant car company. Here you can see the original spare tire, the Pirelli Centuro or whatever the hell it is, and never been on the ground. Still has the little green sticker and the hang tag. Phenomenal. No rust down there. Absolutely lovely to see that for collectability purposes. We get into this pocket here, and the sun's killing us, but the hell with it. You can see we've got the original jack and the original tool bag, the battery box all intact with the straps. And again, look at the vacuum lines down here. No car has been built like this since, and maybe no car before. Certainly not into the 80s. This is just a design and a engineering standard that was much older than that. But of course, Mercedes had perfected it, so why give it up? Now, because they went to the 380 SL, this light aluminum V8, they had to lighten the car a little bit to make it keep performing. So that's now an aluminum hood on there. You can see all the padding is intact, including the rear padding. That's the original rear padding at the back, which is always gone on these cars. You see all these stickers. This one's barely hanging on, but it's still there. Everything just absolutely lovely under the hood. And in 1984, this car did have one major flaw, the 380. The 81 through 83 models all had a single row timing chain. The chain that ran the single overhead cam right here. And that turned out to be very problematic for Mercedes because it was stressed and they would snap even at low mileage and cause terrible damage to the car. Mercedes quickly realized their mistake and did update the 84 and 85 models with the dual row chain, so it's good to look for one of those. And of course many of the 81s and 83s were then retrofitted to get the dual row chain, but that's worth looking at when you're looking at one of these cars. Anyway, you can see with the low miles on this car, the condition under the hood is absolutely exceptional. This has never been up north in the salt, never got any crusty stuff by the beach down here. It's just absolutely incredible, perfect collectible condition, and very, very lovely all around. So 3.8 liters, all aluminum V8. You know, you're talking 84. This was a crappy time for horsepower, so about 155 horse, but a very, very smooth power delivery. And that's the thing with this car, is it just rides like it's on glass. It's, you know, when you get in a good one, when you get in one like this that's been preserved, or another one even with high miles that's been incredibly maintained, you start to understand why people would pay $40,000+ for these things at a time in the 80s when that was well more than the average salary people made in a year. I mean, this was an expensive car. But anyway, everything lovely and nice under there, and ready to go. By the way, the hood release, people often miss that, is right there. You put your hand in the driver's side top region of the Mercedes star. By the way, domination on land, sea, and air. That's what the star stands for, kind of a scary German logo. But anyway, that's the hood release in there, so amaze your friends with your your ability to open the hood on this thing. And again, oh, there we go. Here we go. At least this thing's fast. It's loud, but it's quick. Gulfstream. Hate to see people going hungry. Oh, God. Anyway, let him get out of here. This is another part of this car that I love, is the use of the chrome and the chunkiness. When I go back to, I talk about the Tiger tank. I mean, all this stuff is so chunky and thick and heavy and fantastic. Look at those exotic looking heavy duty latches they use. The weight of the door, the way it closes like a bank vault, absolutely incredible and just fantastic. Under here, I'll get into that. I'll pop it open. We're going to put up the soft top so you can see the way that that looks. I'm going to pause the video and then we will come right back. Okay, here it is with the stowaway soft top up and in place. You can see it's black to match the interior. Good color combination on this car. It's an incredibly well-designed soft top. I mean, it's not super well insulated or, you know, otherwise substantial in terms of its construction. Well, that's not true. It's actually very substantial in terms of its construction. I mean, when you get into it, it's incredible. I mean, look at the aluminum frame. The ridges, the way it's all put together is actually quite amazing. But it's a thin soft top because it's, of course, designed to be part of the hardtop, soft top system. So this thing doesn't have to be over the top in terms of construction. All it has to do is seal perfectly, keep wind noise down, which it does, let no weather inside the car, and be a fantastic top when it's up. And it accomplishes all of those things. We have a little bit of mist this morning, but I can tell you this top is incredibly clear, perfect, exactly the way you would want to see it. You can see there's no, you know, sometimes these things are sort of flipped up. They've been stored incorrectly or badly. None of that in this car. It's absolute perfection. So very, very nice stuff. And anyway, that's how it looks with the soft top up and in place. So I'm going to get that back down and we will go for a spin. Okay, so the top's back down. Obviously, that's something I can't do single-handedly while holding a camera. Let me move this car forward into the shade again so the sun isn't beating us up. Maybe I'll put the defrost on. Fires right to life. Very, very nice. Here's our defrost. Get a little bit of heat going. All the vacuum elements are working really nice in this car. Goes right into defrost. That's a big failing on these things, is sometimes the vacuum goes bad and it just defaults to the defrost because that's the safety way to do it. And anyway, you want to make sure all the vacuum stuff is working good in this car. Any one you buy. Actually, I guess we're ready to be inside of it. So let me just hop out for a second, shut it off, and we'll go over a couple things. Here's some of the subtle engineering that I'm talking about. Now, when you've got the air conditioning or the heat going, it's blowing out this side vent here into the door and then emanating from these little perforations in the door. So you get either cold or hot air wafting out to help you feel more comfortable, even if you don't know why. And that's the kind of beautiful West German engineering that I absolutely love. You know, the chunkiness of the way the seats recline, these big I mean, this stuff is so gone from any modern Mercedes. You got this neat little package shelf back there with the first aid kit. Lovely. You've got these lovely, comfortable, supportive seats. And that, again, is another part of the 107 that I enjoy, is that it's so comfortable, well-built, and such a good driver that it's a classic car you can, you know, you could drive from Florida to Chicago and feel comfortable in. I mean, try doing that in a 69 Buick. It's just not going to be the same. You're not going to get the same level of comfort, performance, ride, handling, safety. You know, one of the reasons that Mercedes-Benz so elegantly transformed from the past into the future, I mean, you remember how troubling it was for GM and Ford in the 80s, was that Mercedes was trend-setting already. They were making cars with crumple zones. They were making cars with collapsible knee bolsters and safety stuff. They were building disc brakes and fooling around with electronic engine management and all this stuff that would come out later. And while other companies had to scramble to put it in, Mercedes had been using it for many years, and it was just easier for them. Oh boy. Anyway, let's hop in. And this car, again, retains enough of the original Mercedes feel that it's just fantastic. So put our key in that little dash-mounted slot. Oh God, everything's hard when you're one-handed. Let me turn this off. We, of course, get our U-boat is sinking buzzer. Mercedes always loved their buzzers. I'll leave the seatbelt off for the moment. And here you've got this unmovable, it's just fixed steering wheel. You can see the texture in this wheel. Now, if this were a high mileage car, particularly if it was owned by someone nervous, all that's going to be worn off to being almost smooth. I mean, you can wear all those textures away over time. And look how perfect it is on this low mileage example. Over here you've got your brake release, you've got your fantastic Mercedes headlight switch that could be in a 52 model. Very classic Mercedes gauge package with your, you've got your water temp, you've got your oil pressure, you've got your fuel mileage, beautiful hieroglyphics, and, you know, again, very German, very different from every other car on the road in America at the time, except maybe for Porsche. Your economy gauge, which is hilarious. The 380 wasn't bad on gas. It would turn in about 20 miles per gallon overall, which is pretty damn good. There you see your 160 mile an hour speedo, which is a bit ambitious. I think the thing topped out in the maybe 120, but anyway, somewhere around there. You see just 38,000 miles on the clock of this thing. Incredible. Here's your tach over there on the right. You've got your video clock beneath it. You've got a row of warning lights beneath that. You've got your cruise control. One of the weak areas in these cars was the sound systems. Here you see this tiny little 3.5-inch speaker behind the wheel, another one over there beneath that vent, and that's it. That's what you got. Up top, these dashes, if they've been out in the sun and the weather, they like to crack. This one is absolutely exceptional throughout, collectible quality. Beautiful little vents, like the way they work. They're easy to aim around. You got your Celsius external temperature gauge there, internal light switch, antenna control. This runs the defrost on the hardtop if you have that installed. Here's this great Becker Grand Prix stereo with its indecipherable hieroglyphics. Good luck figuring that out, but anyway, works nice, and glad to see the original radio. Beautiful real lumber in this car, still made by West German craftsmen at this time, and fantastic condition. Nice to see. You've got your different hieroglyphics on the climate control. This is, of course, your temperature. You can see it's a nice shape. The label's in good shape. Runs from blue to white to red for cold, medium, and hot. This runs your front defrost. This is basically up and down, so you get the some defrost going and some out the front. This runs just the center vents, which is what you want, and EC turns off the compressor, so you're not running air conditioning. Zero is of course off, and on the fan, if you press that middle button, automatic, then it's working in conjunction with your dial to move the fan where it needs to be. You have a genuine ashtray because people in the 1980s in Germany smoked. You've got Mercedes, very classic gated shifter, nice shape. You got your power windows, your right side power mirror. Don't need it on the left side. There's some German engineering for you. It's right there. Why do you need a power mirror? Just reach over and use it. On the right side, it's too far away, so they give you a power adjust. Nice stuff. And your hazards. This guy, I think he upgraded at some point. Ooh, that still has the keys in there. This is such a great 80s upgrade. The center console armrest. This is not the one it came with. This thing must have cost a fortune, and gave you a cassette deck. God, do we have any cassettes? Wouldn't that be nice? No, looks like they all came out. Yeah, would have been nice to find some cassettes in there. But anyway, nice locking center console. Over here, you got this great. The way the glove box opens is cool. You got all your books. You got the original top tools. Oh God, there's just nothing else like these cars. There really isn't. I mean, this era was the end of it. The steering is recirculating ball, so it feels heavy, smooth. And away we go. I love the way the hood looks. I mean, all these beautiful, subtle Teutonic curves. Just absolutely gorgeous car. You know, it's not Italian, it's not in your face. They give you just the right amount of, I mean, what the hell is made in Germany anymore? Honestly. There's some very questionable pornography. That's it. I mean, otherwise it's, you know, every car now is just global. I mean, this thing was entirely built in West Germany using West German labor, West German engineering, and that's the end of it. I mean, this was the last of it before cars really went completely global. It's absolutely silent. For a car this age, when I pull to that stop sign, it's silent. Oh my God, it's so nice to find one this well preserved. Temperatures, I'm not going to hammer it. There's no point anyway. It's not really a fast car. What it is smooth. I mean, this is just absolutely luxurious transportation, and it just exuded wealth and class. I mean, when you pulled up to the country club or the massage parlor, you know, people knew that somebody with taste had arrived, and that's why people went for these things. I mean, if you just love the engineering, you probably went for one of the sedans. You know, you got that in this. You're on display in a 107. You know, the top is down. You're a roadster. So anyway, I could ramble on and on. I'm not going to. This is a 1984 Mercedes-Benz 380 SL Roadster, 38,000 miles, red and black. This is the nicest 107 I've seen in 15 years. And if you call, we can give you some reasons why the 380 may be a better buy than us. I mean, if this was a 560 with these statistics, the car would be 45 grand. This car is considerably less than that and is going to give you as much joy as that car does. So you want to talk about a collector car bargain, this is it. If you have an interest, give us a call, 239-298-8000, on the web at aenaples.com. Thank you so much for having a look. We appreciate you, keeping with us during this rather awkward, annoying video, the way it, more airplanes, they're still overhead. Anyway, hopefully tomorrow goes smoother and we will see you with something else then. Take care.